And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, here we are again, another day committed to bringing you the truth about the consumer advocacy approach here with the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you understand your buying decisions, make you more street smart here. Save our hotline number in your phone. At some point, you may need it, 813-917-1894. Just call or text the hotline, 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors at consumerqb.com. So the FBI's email system got hacked. We're going to have our tech expert Nate Ginter talking about that. Kind of interesting story there. We've got Sam McCown in studio, alive and at peace coaching. We're going to talk about overcoming anxiety. He's got a really cool story that he's going to share with us as well. And Justin Morris, our solar expert, SEM Power, he's going to explain net metering and the latest shenanigans that the power companies are trying to pull, which is an anti-solar move. So we need you to reach out to your state legislators about that as well. Before we jump into that great content, I will let you know about one of our hot listings here in Tampa Bay. We got 15806 Adobe Drive in Hudson, and this is from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. This is a Pasco County listing, 15806 Adobe Drive in Hudson, 2,600 plus square feet, 8 bedrooms, 4 baths. So this is a great investment opportunity. You got gas stove, tile flooring, beautiful property, great investment opportunity. Or, of course, you live there and you call it your primary residence. Also, 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard, commercial property right here in the North Hillsborough area, South Pasco County. This one is on Land O'Lakes Boulevard. It's a commercial zoning, C2, 7-acre parcel of land right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Great development opportunity. Maybe build an assisted living facility, maybe a boutique hotel, something along those lines. You can see all of our listings, Platinum MVP Team. .kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we got Sam in studio. Sam, give us a little teaser what you're going to talk about, my friend.
Hey, we're going to talk about Joe Montana a little bit.
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana. And and they called him Joe Cool, for years. And the whole West Coast thing. I lived in California for a little while. Never a 49ers fan. Grew up outside of Philly. Eagles all the way, right? And they stink this year, but that's beside the point. But yeah, there's some backstories to the drive.
Okay,
and,
I love it.
Talk a little bit about John Candy and Harris Burton.
Nice. That's so funny. Every time I hear the Joe Montana now, it reminds me of the Waterboy clip where he said Joe Montana was a quarterback or whatever. So funny, kind of silly. Listen, we're going to come up. That's going to come up with Sam McCown here on the show just a moment. Let's go to the lines here, phone lines. We got Justin Morris. He's the director of residential sales, SEMpower.com, SEMpower.com. Justin, what exactly is net metering?
So net metering means that any power that you generate, that you're going to get a one-for-one credit for that power. So, for example, we know we don't use as much power like this time of year, right? Because the weather's fantastic, right? This is why we all live in Florida. So what happens is the extra power that your system generates goes on your bill as a credit.
Okay.
So that's net metering. So when you hear someone talk about net metering, that means the power company has to give you one-for-one credit for the power that you create. So what's happening is the power companies, however, are working with the state legislators, who, by the way, they help fund their campaigns,
right,
to pass a bill getting rid of net metering in the state of Florida. So how will that affect people with solar? The answer is what's going to happen is instead of a one-for-one credit, you're going to get about a 1/3 to 1 credit. So when you're building up these credits in the off season, and then it comes to summertime, right? And we all know our electric usage goes up, right? Those power bills start to spike up. You're using a lot more electricity. Well, now instead of having, say, $1,000 worth of credits in there to offset your summer bills, this new legislation would make it to where you're going to have about $300 in there.
Wow.
So really shooting you in the foot, A, if you already have solar, B, if there's any plans on you going solar. And to be frank, it's really hindering our progress towards a greener, better future for our country.
Right. Yeah, it just seems like it's something that, it's against innovation in a sense as well. So instead of innovating, hey, you've got these tile roofs, you got the shingle roofs, you got aluminum roof, whatever roof you have, you know it's getting beat up all day by the sun. So you got an opportunity to put photovoltaic, capture that photovoltaic energy, convert it through the systems. I don't know how that works, but it works, right? And then you sell it back. So it makes sense. Okay, yes, we want to do this. We want to try to make our country a little bit greener if we can, and not talking about the Build Back Worse program. We're talking about, this is legitimate economics of a homeowner that has the ability to buy a solar panel package and put it on the home. So it's going to make the credit. So what you're saying is that the state legislators right now, we need to make a call to action to call the state legislators and tell them that this doesn't seem right. Why would they reduce the amount of credits that we're getting when especially for someone like me and my family, we've already invested in solar, trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely. So for everyone out there, listen, whether you have solar or you're thinking about getting solar, really that's irrelevant. This is a bad move for our state, period. So for everyone out there, do your part and just reach out to your local state legislature and let them know, hey, I do not approve of this. Those guys have to answer to us. They work for us. And so it's imperative for us sometimes to make sure that they know our opinions on these issues. If they don't know our opinions, then guess what? They're going to follow the money. But they have to know that, hey, we're not going to be behind you if you do this, to keep them from making this huge mistake for our state. Because you're right, solar energy is a step that you can take as an individual homeowner to get towards your own independence. I equate this a ton to electric vehicles, and the reason is it's a similar idea, right? I have an electric vehicle. I don't even have to worry about gas prices because I'm self-sufficient when it comes to my vehicle. So that's not a concern that I have to worry about. And so that's kind of what you can achieve with solar panels, is set it to where you don't have to worry about the power company raising their rates, et cetera, et cetera. So they don't want you to do that because it's taking money from them. So, we're taking their ratepayers, and these guys just want to make money.
Yeah.
So this gives you the independence, and, it's no different than, like, the state of California, for example. Because they have all these electric vehicles, they are now trying to impose a giant electric vehicle tax, right? Because they're saying that, these electric vehicles, they're not paying the gas tax, and they're not doing their part, which really isn't true. They're still doing their part, but, it's kind of funny, the double-sided sword, right, of
exactly
the liberal agenda, where it's, we want to do what's best for the planet, unless we're not making money off of it.
Yeah. Unless we're not growing the government, budget, unless we're not, we got to bring in revenues because we're printing all this money and we're spending all these social programs and we're building back worse and planning the one I heard this morning is they're giving out, I forgot how many billions of dollars they want to try to increase jobs, and supposedly $15 an hour jobs for it's kind of targeted at younger Americans to go out and plant trees. So for $15, you got these guys that are normally tech type people. They're not going to go out and plant many trees. So essentially they're going to be kind of barking at people about greenness and whatnot. But it's just unprecedented. I hope it doesn't make it through the Senate. But by the way, if you just joined us, we're talking with Justin Morris, Director of Residential Sales, SEMpower.com. SEMpower.com. Another great example of a local area business owner that supports the local economy, supports the flagship station here, Salem Media Group, 860 The Answer right here, helping you understand your buying decisions, especially when it comes to solar and utilizing photovoltaic energy from the sun, taking advantage of the tax credits. Reach out to the show hotline if you'd like. We'd love to connect you with him, 813-917-1894. Call or text. It's an off-air line. 813-917-1894. So what else are you seeing in that space, Justin? You guys also do commercial and residential.
Absolutely. We've got some big commercial projects in the works right now with the likes of NASA, some utility projects going on, putting some solar on some firehouses, some water treatment plants, really just a lot of really good stuff. And, this stuff is going to affect them too. So, this net metering, it's a bad deal. And hopefully we can work together as a community and as a state to help let our voices be heard that, listen, we don't agree with this. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on. It's a great time. It's always a good time to go solar. The tax credit, the 26% federal tax credit, is set to expire at the end of next year. So of course, a lot of people getting anxious, wanting to get solar before that tax credit drops down before the end of next year.
It's a good time to look into it as well. It's a little bit slower time of year. Some people are kind of packing it in, saying, "Oh, it's vacation time, it's Christmas time. I'm not going to do much." So this is a good time to talk to Justin, have him come out, sit down with you, get your consultation. Also, take a look at how you can store that energy. Justin, talk a little bit about some of the latest advantages where you see. You bring this energy in. Now these batteries are becoming a little bit more capable of storing for long term. So you think about the generators. A lot of people are buying home generators, etc. But this is also another viable option to have these better, more advanced, technologically advanced battery packs in the garage or maybe outside the garage.
Absolutely. So I just installed 3 batteries with one of my customers over here in St. Augustine. He's got now 30 kilowatts of backup power. He won't have any concerns if there's any power outages. And the nice thing about that is it's a seamless transition. You don't have the noise of a generator. Here's another thing. You don't have the upkeep of a generator, right? You're not having to do anything. You put these batteries in, and it's what's the old infomercial? Set it and forget it.
Yeah, there you go. That turkey
and
cooker.
That's really what it is.
Chicken
rotisserie. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's batteries. You're not having to worry about a fuel source, maybe putting in a propane tank or anything like that. You're really going even a step further towards achieving your energy independence. And, oh, by the way, when that faulty electric grid that is way overtaxed does fail you, you don't have to worry about it. You've got power there.
Yeah, you talk about scary. That's scary. You look at the CCP. You look at some of the challenges that we have from an American standpoint. I'm not talking about what the Biden and the White House talk about is the climate change, particular, or the the whiteness, for example. I'm talking about real challenges, real technical. If they attack our power grid, talk about that a little bit, Justin. How would that play out?
Well, you look at, we had really a prime example of that. Like, for example, when they attacked the pipeline, right? And they were able to shut down the pipeline all electronically. You look at when Texas, last year, had the huge grid outage for upwards of 3 weeks. And those people there's people dying.
Yeah, they died in their homes. They froze to death.
Yeah. So this is a real thing. And certainly as our grid gets older and older, and the power companies who only care about the bottom line continue to let the grid fail and fail and fail. These are problems that are going to continue to get worse. And again, this is something you can do to protect yourself and insulate yourself from the scary things that are happening in our country. And hopefully, we can get the ship righted on a national front, but like I said, one of the big things we can do right now on the state front is take action locally.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin Morris, Director, Residential Sales, SEMpower.com. Justin, thanks for dropping some knowledge on us today. How would you like people to find you?
Best thing, SEMpower.com. You can go on there, get a free quote. Only takes a few minutes. Gives you a pretty accurate quote. And that just gives you your information to us. It doesn't go out to 15 different companies. You're not going to start getting heckled by a bunch of different people. We're no pressure. Give me a call and let me talk to you about some of the ways we can get you in a system here. Basically before the end of the year, we can get it set up so you can get your tax return potentially your tax credit before you even pay for your first installment on your system.
Perfect. Good stuff. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate you calling in.
Always a pleasure.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got business coach Sam McCown in the house. He's a speaker, coach, trainer, alive and at peace coaching on the program. Talk about overcoming anxiety. He's got some strategies, some tips that you want to talk about there. Plus, our feel-good story of the day, Enchant Christmas returns to Tropicana Field, right here, locally, transforming the ballpark into a winter wonderland. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
The Consumer Quarterback Show will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Giving a shout out to Veteran Gutters, Brandon Porter and his team. They do such a great job. American-made product. He's an American veteran. He served our great country. Veteran Gutters. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. And we'd like to help you win in your real estate deals. If you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got an expert team, expert negotiators on our staff. We are a top 1% ranked real estate team. We'd love to help you sell your properties, and we feature them on the show. So we've got a hot property here, 6012 South Russell Street. This is a South Tampa Mediterranean Palace. Beautiful property, 6012 South Russell Street. It is a gorgeous home, almost 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, custom built home, Ballast Point community. You walk to Bayshore, you do all your walking, jogging, and biking up Bayshore like people love to do in South Tampa. Beautiful property right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Also got a hot listing, 12631 Hobson Simmons Road. This is 10 plus, maybe 12 acres out there, depending on how you structure the deal, that you can develop out in Lithia. This is a beautiful opportunity to build, develop land and potentially build, of course, single-family homes would be the best, I would think, highest and best use. 12631 Hobson Simmons Road. Attention builders, developers, entrepreneurs. Reach out. We'd love to talk to you. ConsumerQB.com, ConsumerQB.com, or all of our real estate listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
Sam McCown in the house, overcoming anxiety. You've got some strategies for that.
We do. We're going to talk about a few things today, but you had a story about the IRS you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
There's anxiety.
There's
when you
some
get
anxiety.
That letter in the mail, that certified letter and everything else, that will really up the anxiety
Well, let's play the
level.
clip. We'll go to the clip here. Got about a 40
So
second
the
clip.
White House complained in its Build Back Better framework that the IRS isn't auditing enough wealthy taxpayers and proposed hiring more enforcement agents specifically to, quote, pursue wealthy evaders. That plan reportedly includes $80 billion to hire 87,000 more IRS agents to increase taxpayer audits. President Biden has claimed that the new enforcement resources would only be deployed to target families earning over $400,000 per year. However, according to some reports, nearly half of the estimated 1.2 million new audits would impact families earning less than $75,000 a year.
Yeah, so it's always that floating target, right? Oh yeah, you can keep your doctor. You can keep your doctor. It comes out to find out in Obamacare you can't.
You can't keep your doctor.
Also,
right.
400,000. We're only going after the rich. We're going after people that make more than $400,000. By the way, that's not very rich.
That's not very rich.
You know, no. but either way, it's a good living. But $80 billion.
Right.
To hire 87,000 new IRS agents. That's a scary thought.
It is a scary thought. Here's the thing about the IRS and what most people don't think about. Their algorithm, their plan, when they start looking at audits, has nothing to do with your income. It doesn't matter if you're $10,000 a year, you're $10 million a year. You probably spelled something wrong in your name. You have an address that's not right. You did a birth date, social security, and something stupid, made a stupid math mistake. How many billionaires, millionaires do you know make math mistakes or put the wrong information on their tax returns? I know zero, because they pay lawyers to do all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the average Joe. It's the guy making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year is going to pop up for an audit, and now you have to pay 87,000 more agents.
Yep.
They're just going to go after them.
Growing the government.
Growing the government. In the past, I'm not sure how to tactfully say this. There's a limit to where they would say, okay, not worth it. Not worth our time to go after this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they'll lower that limit.
Cost benefit return.
Yeah, the cost benefit. Right, yeah. Right. And for folks up in Wyoming, that was $5,000. If they couldn't get $5,000 out of you just like that, they didn't go after you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just was. It's different here in Tampa. But
yeah.
But the fact matter is that these agents, there's a program built in there. So they say, Brandon, we think you estimated what your childcare expenses were, or something like that.
Right.
So they send you a letter. They set up a phone call, set up an interview, and they have a whole list of questions.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't answer the question right, it goes to another screen. And now they're so. I'm not saying they try to trick you. They don't, but you have to answer those questions right every time. And I don't know about you, but each gray hair is a memory cell. So try to remember things. Try to remember things from 3, 4, 5 years ago on your taxes.
Exactly.
And that's where they're going to get you. And that's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
They should lay off 87,000 IRS workers and make them go find a real job.
You know the total number of government workers, federal government workers? I think it's over it's about 1.7 million federal government workers. That to me just is like mind blowing.
Right.
That's a lot of people. That's a big budget.
And you add 87,000, now you have a bigger voting block.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of thought process behind that. And IRS always creates anxiety.
Exactly. So how can we cope with it? How can we overcome anxiety?
Well, you'd be like Joe Montana. We were talking before the show about the drive.
Yeah.
It was 1989, I think it was, and Cincinnati was on the losing end of that particular drive. But a offensive lineman by the name of Harris Burton, he was a star watcher. Okay, so whenever he'd go out to eat, he'd come and he'd tell Joe, "This is who I saw. You won't believe who I saw," and everything else. And so during a TV timeout, and we know how long TV timeouts are in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Montana's looking up in the stands. He sees John Candy. And he's very familiar with John Candy. Candy tried to get him to go up to Canada to play.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And so they get back in the huddle. They've got this long drive they've got to do. And Harris Burton is literally getting sick in the huddle. His nerves, he's so anxious and everything else. And Montana couldn't believe that Harris didn't see John Candy. Yeah. And so he just says to him, "Isn't that John Candy up in the stands?"
Yeah.
And everybody turns and looks, and they just came down a level.
Yeah.
The whole, and they went down and scored.
Yeah, that's interesting. Bringing you into the moment, because a lot of times fear and anxiety comes from looking ahead, thinking, "Oh man, I got to go on stage. I got to speak to this big group."
Yes.
The more you can stay present. We're going to expound on that more. Sam McCown on the Consumer Quarterback Show, alive and at peace coaching here, coming up on the program. Plus, our feel good story, as well as Nate Ginter, Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT, in the house. We'll be right back after the short break. Don't go anywhere.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Five, four, three, two, one.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Quick shout out to the Bilmar Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. I tell you what, if you're local and you've never been, you got to check them out. This is a great time of year. They've got the standing ovations, the sandcastle sculptures down there. It's beautiful. Great time to get away. Local staycation, or of course, if you're coming from out of town, we'll call it a vacation. But the Bilmar Beach Resort is where you need to be. 2 pools on site, Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and Restaurant. Great opportunity to get out and enjoy some of the best in Tampa Bay, right there on the beautiful beaches of St. Petersburg, Clearwater Beach, Treasure Island, right here in Tampa Bay. All right, hot listing for this segment. We've got a property here in Tampa Bay. It's 4214 North Nebraska Avenue. We got a dry cleaner for sale. Attention business owners, dry cleaners, great opportunity. You get all the businesses, you get all the real estate, you get all the equipment, and of course the customer list, the folks that have been coming there for years. 4214 North Nebraska Avenue, dry cleaner available for sale right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Sam McCown's in the house. Talking about overcoming anxiety as the theme for this show, and yeah, kind of, like we were saying earlier. I think a lot of times when you have that fear, when it starts leveling up, people start, I'm about to, I've seen it on the radio show before. People sit across me and they get real nervous. It's because they're projecting into the future, right? They're fearing when they're going to go on air, or for a lot of people, it's going on stage to speak on stage. But what I've heard from so many different people or books or podcasts is to, bring it down and stay current. That's why you'll see some people doing push-ups behind the stage, right? It's like stay current, and then you're gonna be in your normal mindset.
Yeah, you have to stay in the moment. I mean, we can talk about that all we want. Stay in the moment, stay in the moment. The fact of the matter is people work themselves up, into a frenzy, and then they don't perform at their highest level. And where if you can just take one of the things I do, we're in Florida. My favorite picture is on my website. It's a picture at Honeymoon Island. I took one of the first sunsets down here, and that's embedded into my mind. So when I start getting anxious, I close my eyes, I sit back, I can see that picture, and I can take it down. I was getting my blood pressure checked, and I had forgotten to take the medication, and I needed the blood pressure to be below a certain deal And so I sat in that doctor's office, and that's all I did. The first time, it was out of range. The second time, it came down like 7 points, 8 points to put me right in range so that they just passed me on through. So you can do that, but you have to, it's a mindset. You really have to calm yourself down, breathe. Yeah. Most people don't breathe, and they just don't, they panic. And so, you just have to, there's a cute story. This lady was worried for 10 years. She worried there was a burglar breaking into the house, 10 years. Anxiety was just killing her. One day, her husband hears somebody downstairs, and there's a burglar in the house. So he grabs a hold of him, takes him upstairs. Come on, you need to meet my wife. She's been waiting to meet you for 10 years. Right? Yeah. And so, but the anxiety was the killer in that, Yeah. The point's simple. The burglar can steal from you once. Yeah. Anxiety steals from you every day. Right. And every minute of every day. I see it all the time. And we're coming into Christmas time. Yeah. Okay. And anxiety levels. Oh, what am I going to get the kids? What am I going to do here? We do a bike giveaway at the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with the city and the Sheriff's Department, Maddie Williams, and a bunch of nonprofits up there. And some of these folks, you can tell that without the bikes, Christmas was going to be lean. Yeah. And you can just see the anxiety go away, the stress go away when they know they're going to have that really nice bike underneath the tree, for their kids. So, and then January and February, that's when I get my most financial coaching clients, because they put it all on the credit card, they maxed them out, and now they got the bill. Yeah. And so the anxiety is there, and you just have to live in the moment. You can't be fearful about what's going to happen 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks down the road. You have to take care of today. Yeah. And most folks don't. I mean, they build that fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. You have all sorts of acronyms for it, but fear is, who said it? Nothing to fear but fear itself, Yeah. And right now, we're living in a society that is creating fear and anxiety for all of us, all over the place, and it's false. I mean, we just heard that we're talking about more travel bans. Yeah. This time last year, the travel bans were, I don't remember the words they used, because there was a different president in the office, xenophobic, right, and the China virus and stuff like that. I'm sorry, but all things point to it being a China virus, but I don't think I can get in trouble for saying that here. But anyway. But this time last year, the party that's in power now was saying how bad travel bans were and this, that, and the other. And now we're talking about travel bans. We're talking about states saying you have to have a vaccine passport to get into my state if you're flying in. And that's just insane. And they're creating anxiety and fear. You have folks who can't go see their parents still in some states. They can't even go in to see their parents and their kids who are in the hospital with.
And that's the worst. Yeah.
It is. Horrible. It's horrible. And I believe our administration has created this fear. We live in it every day. And if we're both people of faith, okay? So, we've read the back of the book. We know what happens, okay? And that is one thing that we can use, or anybody can use, as their faith in what's going to happen in the end game, right? To bring that anxiety level down and to help overcome the fear. But the fact of the matter is that we cannot listen to the garbage. Yeah, is one of the first computer sayings: "Garbage in, garbage out." So we can't listen.
Well, that's so right on too. I think, and by the way, if you just joined us, we're talking with Sam McCown here in studio. He's alive and at peace coaching, business coach, speaker, trainer, right here in Tampa Bay. Does a lot of philanthropic stuff as well over there with Thomas King and Florida Firearms Academy at the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber as well. But I think a lot of times too, like, so many people, it depends on how strong you are as a person. Yes. So if you're going to let these things affect you, yes, we want to see it. We want to know, speak out about it, maybe fight back. But at the same time, control what you can control. And every day, if you're someone like me, I wake up, I'm looking, okay, let me attack the day. Let me go out and make my prospecting calls at 8 a.m. first thing. I'm going to go out. I'm aggressive. I'm going to get it done. And then I'm going to act as if I'm going to get the deal, or I'm going to act as if I'm in a positive mindset. Right. And it's like even in the Bible, it's called Paul. I think it was Paul said, "Call forth those things that be not as though they were." Right. So you want to assume like you're already going to have that, right?
Yeah. Do you know an NFL team that won a Super Bowl by thinking they weren't going to win.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and you're right. You get up, you always attack the things that are the most difficult first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And in sales, cold calls.
That's right.
Getting and I heard a sales guy say, "Oh, there's no such thing as cold calling anymore. You're not making any money in sales, are you?" And he's not. But the fact of the matter is, you go after the things that you fear the most.
That's right.
And put them in the rearview mirror, and then your day just gets that much simpler. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's perfect analogy.
What's the best place for people to find you? How would you like folks to contact you?
Oh, best place is to reach out, email sam@aliveandatpeace.com, or you can text and call me at 813-379-9008.
sam@aliveandatpeace.com?
Yes, sir.
All right, good stuff. Sam McCown, always a pleasure, my friend.
I love being here, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in. And again, another great example supporting the local economy, supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show. Coming up, we got Nate Ginter, Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT, and our feel-good story of the day, Enchantment Christmas returns to Tropicana Field, transforming the ballpark into a winter wonderland. We'll be right back.
This is Warwick Down, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is Diane Vance with Fairway Independent Mortgage, a member of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Please give me a call for any of your mortgage needs. We do all sorts of loans. If you would like information on a mortgage, you can text me or call me at 727-647-8199. I will take care of all your mortgage needs. Go to my website at dianevance.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the Real Estate Quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in
813-917-1894.
Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing. Check out consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show. Always telling you something good. Feel-good story of the day here coming at you.
Tell me something good.
All right, so you can be transported to Christmas Wonderland in St. Petersburg. Tropicana Field being transformed from the baseball stadium into Enchanted Christmas. It's an enchantment Christmas event. It is twinkling lights and fun for the whole family, and it's there's about 65 truckloads of all these beautiful sculptures, as says Hudson, the person who brought it together. And ice rink is ready to be open. The Christmas setup market is set up. Santa's sleighs is prepared, and final touches being placed on the Christmas buffet. So great opportunity. Check it out. Last year it was closed down for the pandemic, so I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people going there. Open for 20 days, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be the theme for this year is the mischievous elf. So you can come and see Eddie the elf and then find toys he's accidentally lost for Santa. So cool stuff happening out here in Tampa Bay. Always a fun time. All right, we got Nate Ginter in the house, Chief Technology Officer. He's our tech expert guru for the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Also a bit of mischievous elf, but...
yeah, there you go. A little mischievous. Man, I love your show notes today. FBI's email system hacked, and it sent out a fake cyber security alert to thousands.
Absolutely. So I included this one today just to give people, because I come on all the time. We talk about all these things you can do to protect yourself, and I just want people to know that even the FBI, with all the unlimited resources they have at their disposal, still gets hacked from time to time. It can happen to all of us. So if you find yourself to be the victim of a hack, one of the things that's very important to do is have a plan for, hey, worst case scenario, do at least have somebody to call. Are you working with your IT company? Have you asked them what the response policy is like? So, in this worst case scenario that can happen to you that, hey, we've got a plan for this. The sad inevitability is you do business long enough, the likelihood is you're going to have some kind of breach, and you have, they call it like a disaster recovery plan, but do you have some sort of DRP in place to really limit, any downtime or any potential exposure or loss of data you might have? For sure.
Yeah, that's important. A lot of business owners, you hear this story of oh man, I walked into the business, the computer was acting on its own. Somebody had hacked into their computer, and now they got access to everything.
Absolutely, and the quicker you identify those things, it's very important what your response policies are, especially if you're working from even a basic book. It's not something where you have to have an 80-page manual. But you go, okay, if you see something weird, we call these people. We know that they're going to do a little investigation, and if we need to, we'll shut things down real quickly. Because the quicker you can get to those things, especially in a ransomware attack, you really limit their attack service and what your potential restore time looks like.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then another story we've got here: banks ordered to promptly flag cybersecurity incidents under new U.S. rule.
Absolutely. So this is a really interesting one. So up until now, there was always what they called a responsibility to report or duty to report if you were a financial services institution and you suffered a breach. The interesting thing about them moving the timeline to 36 hours is that a lot of times what companies would do is it would say they do like a cost-benefit analysis. Okay, are there any potential fines? Maybe we keep this one to ourselves. Maybe we don't tell everybody about these things. And by putting them on that 36-hour clock, it really limits the amount of time that they have to really make those calculations. And they're basically saying, hey, as soon as you guys know about this, you need to contact the FBI and let them know. With banking and financial services regulation, they're holding a lot of very important data.
Yeah.
So let's get out there right away. Let's proactively be going after these things. Let's not worry about trying to cover up or protect your reputation. The most important part is protecting that data and those clients, which is a very important step for them to take for that. It really is a good thing.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, especially when time is so critical, the early hours of these investigations.
Absolutely. And what was happening was basically we have a lot of the FBI and other government agencies have a lot of great tools. They were finding that because places were unwilling to talk about or going through like a whole legal review of everything, it could take a month, 2 months from them to report something. By the time they could get to it, evidence was missing. That they weren't able to track down the original originators of the threat action. So by moving this timetable up, it gets them a lot better data. If everybody, it's sad, but if everybody was just forthcoming right away and said, hey, we're suffering an attack, that data that they can get it enables them to much quicker go after actors. And a lot of times, especially with the timetable of under a couple of days, they can actually start watching the money that people are trying to pull out. Because once they make that demand or they do their initial threat action, that clock is ticking, and they know the longer it goes, the more likely things can be traced back to them.
Yeah.
So, again, moving that timetable up, is a better result for everybody in the long run. Hopefully.
Yeah, you don't want it to become a cold case.
Correct.
That's the challenge.
Correct. First 48 rule.
That's right. Now, Nate, we talk about cryptocurrency from time to time.
Sure.
You're somewhat of an expert in that space as well. Did you really? Okay. I want to play a clip because that's another issue or another potentiality. I've got a clip here with it ends with Senator Ted Cruz talking about how Congress might be taxing this. They're looking to tax cryptocurrencies. Here's a quick clip that we've got.
Taxing crypto-related implications of the bill back in August. He said that it might force every person who uses cryptocurrency in some way to basically function as a financial institution, which would mean that they would have to provide consumer information to the IRS. Now that the bill has been signed into law, Cruz drafted legislation to repeal the, quote, overly broad and poorly crafted provision from the infrastructure package that creates new reporting requirements for many participants within the blockchain industry. Cruz has also argued that while Congress is enthusiastic about taxing crypto, they really don't know much about it.
I doubt there are 5 members of the United States Senate that could tell you what the hell a Bitcoin is.
So pretty good. There's classic Ted Cruz for you. But yeah, he's wanting to repeal what he's calling an overly broad and poorly crafted bill. So essentially they're saying, hey, we're going to tax crypto and we're going to treat individual holders as a financial institution.
So the interesting part about that was they were already taxing crypto.
Okay.
So cryptocurrency about 2 or 3 years ago in a bill that they passed was moved from, it's actually not a currency, so it's what it's called, but it's a misnomer. It's actually called a crypto asset.
Okay.
So when you sell cryptocurrency or you exchange it for another thing of value like a US dollar, you're doing what is actually a capital gains transaction. at that point because it's an asset. And they did that on purpose because of such, they were seeing these huge accumulations of wealth. If it's a currency, well, when you go to use that currency, you don't have to pay a tax just because, hey, if the dollar is stronger tomorrow, you don't owe more money because, when you got that dollar, the purchasing power was a little bit lower. But that's why they did that, because there was a lot of money to be made. So what this new bill has done is basically said that because of the reporting requirements that are in it, and I haven't reviewed the bill in specific for what they're asking, but apparently, when you go to sell cryptocurrency, typically you're going to do it on an exchange, like Coinbase is one of them, Crypto.com is another, and they actually will take your financial, just like your bank account, they take a social security number, they verify your address and these things. So that mechanism was already there prior to this bill.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the vague way the bill is written, if you say, hey, Nate, I want to buy some cryptocurrency from you, and I go, okay, cool. So, we do the transaction privately. Now I'm actually required to do that. If I go to a vendor like Ferg's downtown, you can actually pay for your couple of pints with Bitcoin.
Okay.
Ferg's would now be required technically under this new legislation to take down all of my information and verify it like a financial institution if it's implemented as they say. I think that a lot of this language is going to be either repealed or cleaned up for sure, just because they're doing away with they're making it impossible. I mean, imagine anybody you exchange a dollar with, you had to give them all of your personal information.
Right.
There's a lot of places you're not going to do business.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's what he's calling poorly crafted.
He would be right in this case for sure.
Yeah, so crypto. Interesting space. We talked about yesterday's show, we were talking about metaverse as well. So, you expect people that are struggling to pay rent, struggling to fill their gas tank, struggling to buy groceries, to start investing in some, basically this alternative universe, and you can wear your headphone or eye goggles and all of a sudden have this unique other alternative life. Well, hey, that's not going to work for the middle class. That's not going to work for people that are making money and trying to live their life. But for these upper level, these elites, these guys that are in Washington bureaucratic type situations, they're getting kickbacks and all the money that's been printed through these hedge funds and through these government kickbacks and these Build Back Worse bills, this stuff. Yes, it makes sense to some of those people.
I think it'll actually work.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. If you look where millennials spend all their money, they're not saving for houses. They're not looking forward to retirement. They're spending money on their disposable income, and even their which should be non-disposable income is going to lifestyle items. They're
so entertainment.
Yeah, and their entertainment budget is massive compared to previous generations.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
I think you'll see a lot of people driving around, and if you put your virtual headset on, they're driving around in a Ferrari, and they can't put gas in a 20-year-old Miata.
Yeah, and they're struggling not to get evicted. I mean,
exactly.
What about taking their girlfriend out for dinner or something? I mean,
Well, that's where we can have our government-run homeless shelters that have your little pod space for you there, and a free set of goggles so you can look at a better life.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's scary, but that's very potential for what might happen, especially the generation or two removed from where we're sitting here now.
Oh, the Matrix is nigh. These things. What people don't realize about a lot of these concepts, they're not just some totalitarian thing that just happens out of the blue. It's because people want them. You're trained on things incrementally. To accept concepts that you wouldn't have accepted if at the end.
Right.
If you see the end result, you would never have taken step one in the beginning. And there's a lot of little things that are moving hand in hand. If you buy into a lot of the messages that are being sold to young people today, if I was 15 and had been raised in the environment I was in, I'd be raised in a world where terrorists are coming to kill me. The world's on fire. There's no hope for me. There's no jobs. There's a virus that's going to kill me if I go outside and play ball with my friends. And if I do anything without a full bubble suit on, the likelihood is my bones are going to shatter. That's a very frightening non-reality to grow up in.
Right.
But reality, I always say, if it's real to someone, it doesn't matter if it's true. It's real to them, and it's going to affect their behavior. So those developmental things, I think, are very important. And so when I hear people go, oh, that'll never happen, it's a lot like when people go, well, no one's ever going to be able to stop Amazon. I'm like, yeah, I remember hearing that about Walmart. And then, before that, it was Sears. And before that, it was your local mall. There's always some new boogeyman. Wherever money's being made, that's what people get mad at.
Yeah. So Amazon seems to me like somewhat unprecedented because it's so easy. You swipe on your cell phone, and it shows up. You got so much cardboard being created.
Sure.
That's a scary one. And then also, a lot of people don't realize there's a whole movement out there pushing for transhumanism. I listen to a lot of other podcasts.
Sure.
Steve Bannon has a great podcast. He keeps us up to date on that. But it's amazing what's happening. What's your thoughts on transhumanism?
So that's Raymond Kurzweil is a big pusher behind that. And what he believes is actually we're going to go and evolve into some sort of machine state and consciousness. Being in the tech industry, there's a lot of wonderful, amazing things that are out there. And there's all kinds of new things happening on the scientific frontier that are always very exciting. Whether or not there's some sort of augmentation that happens, possibly. But, I mean, keep in mind, most for 80+% of the planet, they're just now getting running water and some lights that fire on at night. The concept of us becoming a transhuman world, I will put that up there with maybe. And you know, when my great-great-great-great-grandchildren get back from Mars, they may be having the same debate.
Yeah, it's scary. You know, at least on this podcast I'm listening to, man, some people are putting chips in their fingers. It's already it's gonna scan for their groceries. It's gonna scan about 20 seconds. Back to you.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, you know, you've already got all that stuff. It's just people are just putting it inside them because you can stuff stuff in your body and it doesn't kill you immediately. But you know, my grocery card, I tap it on the thing, and you know, it charges my my Amex account. So all of that stuff's there, but it's just them being cute with stuff, I think.
Yeah, and it also going to come to a point where how much computing can you do as a regular human, and then there's a superhuman that's going to compete for you for that same job, that same business opportunity, etc.
To be continued.
So good stuff. Let's follow up. We'll pick up that. Nate Ginter, Chief Technology Officer, VineIT.com. Check him out online, VineIT.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.